Alrighty everyone, welcome back. It is now March 26th of 2025, and given that the Meghan Markle drama is only getting worse over time, we already know that ever since the debut of With Love Meghan as a series on Netflix was already treated as a ratings disaster on day one. We already saw that coming months in advance because of Greg Peters, the Netflix CEO, trying to give the board of directors a heads up that what they created ultimately was going to be an epic disaster. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new and like this video to see future updates. You can also follow me at Mike01. I thank you also very much for the great and kind support. Now, we already know that Meghan Markle's career, if you even want to say that she has a career, but it is collapsing. All of her acting roles, all of her acting gigs that she's trying to land, or was actually nearing a completion as far as contract deals go with different studios, they are all falling like dominoes as we speak, and everything is beginning to cave in. This is because we are dealing with a slow turn of the tide within Hollywood. I think it's still going to take a numerous amount of years until you see that complete reversal of Hollywood, where you have a lot of common sense in play for both movies and television programs. But focusing on Meghan Markle here, this is where things just got worse for her overall role at Netflix. While she's still there, things actually got worse beyond belief, because we already know that Greg Peters, the CEO, has been trying to knock some sense into the board of directors, and well, it seems like he may have accomplished that to a certain extent. Let's get into this. Now, what's interesting about Meghan Markle's overall scenario and what's going on ever since With Love Meghan dropped on that streaming service is that we already know that she even lost some of her very own fans. We know that some Meghan Markle supporters actually saw how phony and fake and how just inauthentic the show really looked, the way the acting was, the way it was actually, orchestrated on screen, just the overall structure of the show is all phony and fake. However, with the Netflix board of directors actively trying to tame the entire situation for Meghan Markle's ratings disaster for her show With Love Meghan, one massive development that is now active involves more to do with Meghan Markle and her recent behavior after Netflix recently took serious action against her. It turns out that after many arguments between both CEO Greg Peters at Netflix and the board of directors, the board recently made a swift move to save their image and to begin distancing themselves from Meghan Markle. Now, for one, they recently canceled an entire proposed plan that was essentially set in stone that was going to involve a new series that was going to be shot over the spring that would focus on Meghan Markle's fashion. The series was going to focus on Meghan Markle shopping in high-end stores for not just clothing items, but also for jewelry, where she would review and purchase items with popular brands. However, it turns out that this series, which Netflix was going to call Fashion for Meghan, was just recently axed and cancelled entirely from their lineup of shows. This show was essentially going to be treated as a priority by Netflix, where they were going to expedite the production. Not only was it going to be an improvised series, sort of like Curb Your Enthusiasm is, by the way, on HBO, with little to no script to fasten the principal photography phase, but also the editing was going to be bare bones and basically allowing them to shoot 6 episodes consisting of 45 minutes each, roughly, that would actually release during the month of August, just before her contract renewal is supposed to end with Netflix. Now, this entire series, Fashion for Meghan, was going to feature more celebrity cameos, joining her on Rodeo Drive in California and other upscale shopping areas to shop for clothing and jewelry. The series was going to also hold a whopping budget of around, get this, $50 million to create by Netflix. Meghan Markle reportedly was furious and even challenged the Netflix board, who once supported and sided with her on everything. At least 60% of the board that has always supported Meghan Markle and recently decided to turn on her after being convinced by CEO Greg Peters about how there is no market or target audience for this show. And you know what, guys? That is true. Greg Peters was really on that, and thankfully he was able to convince the board this time around that there really is no target audience for a show that focuses on Meghan Markle, no less. But on top of that, shopping for expensive items, honestly, for people that have no money like that at all. We know that this is obviously just a show catered to actors, actresses, singers, celebrities just in general that could only afford such items at a high value like that. So the fact that they were going to do this, where she was going to buy things like rings, necklaces, bracelets, dresses, all of this nonsense, hats, just going shopping and talking with celebrities while she actually shops, kind of doing this commentary over her shopping experience. it really just goes to show you that Netflix is creatively bankrupt. And Greg Peters, I think, is the only one that has his head on straight over at Netflix. But unfortunately, as you all know, the CEO doesn't always call the shots, right? It's not all up to him or her. It's always, of course, with the board of directors making a lot of those strategic decisions, right? So Netflix, I think that they made one right call here. I'm not saying I'm a supporter of the board of directors, at least the 60% that are so misguided and out of touch with reality that support Meghan Markle, but they are finally beginning to turn on her. They are finally beginning to just say, you know what, maybe this thing won't work. Maybe this will only make things worse for our overall business model, because we are bleeding subscribers right now, ever since the release of With Love Meghan, in which they are, by the way, between Meghan Markle's show, With Love Meghan, and their rate hikes, because, by the way, the subscriptions did get more expensive for With Love Meghan, or should I say for Netflix, after With Love Meghan debuted. That really just steered away a lot of customers. It steered away a lot of people to even go ahead and stay with Netflix. So now you have people checking out streaming items like, of course, Amazon, HBO Max, Peacock, and among many other streaming services that they are looking for. That's why Netflix is losing a lot of customers. Just a heads up, if you are a Karate Kid fan, all three of those movies are actually going away. They are leaving Netflix, I think, by the beginning of April. But you guys can correct me on that. But what's interesting about this is that also Markle already labeled the Netflix board as incompetent for listening to Greg Peters and is desperately trying to revive the show after its sudden cancellation, as an official announcement was set to take place by mid-April and was going to be filmed during the month of May. This is yet another bust for Meghan Markle, another failure on her end over at Netflix, as the ratings disaster for her series With Love Meghan already made her more unlikable to the general public and to many studio executives. In the Hollywood bubble, of course. Now, with Markle now witnessing that Netflix is going down like the Titanic with her involvement, she already reportedly held conversations with, get this, prepare yourselves, Amazon, to land a massive multi-million-dollar deal with them to create endless material once her Netflix contract deal expires by this fall. Now, again, we already know that Amazon, I think, a lot of people are still a little worried about Amazon taking over the James Bond franchise. You know, getting the creative rights, getting the creative control of 007. I think I'm honestly worried about that too, because I think that they're going to milk that actual franchise to the point where it's going to become very stale, kind of like what happened with Disney buying out Lucasfilm and milking Star Wars to death. I think that you're going to see something very similar happening with Amazon and James Bond. You know, I think that you're really going to see that over the course of the next couple of years. Now again, but about Meghan Markle, the fact that she's trying to go to Netflix makes a lot of sense because, look, Amazon may have, you know, some good content on there, but they also have a lot of things to do with their typical, you know, agenda, their overall typical ideology that gets shoehorned into a lot of these different projects. We already know that they're taking over the Lara Croft / Tomb Raider franchise, and how they're going to be doing something different with that as well. But overall, I would like to hear what everyone has to say about all of this below in the comments, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel, and I will catch you guys later.